Welcome to the live stream. I have to unmute myself. It's fancy roadcaster. Hi, Joe, Louisa, Mina, and everybody else that's watching live. If you're not watching this live, then I invite you to just comment away as you watch this video when it's replaying. We're going to go for about an hour today on how to make productivity fun. And this is inspired by a comment that I got about this new program I put together called the Six, which is really a simple productivity framework. It's a system. It's I would say it's more of a process or a way of doing things as opposed to time crafting, which I've talked about a lot, which is kind of like the underpinnings of it, right? So for example, if you've seen my work before, you've heard me talk about theming your days and things like that. Or if you've seen me talk about mode-based work, those things are part of, obviously time crafting. But then how do you implement it, right? I know you can use a bunch of different tools. I actually have, an analog card right here, and I know it's hard to see them with this light. It's not terribly great on focusing on that. Oh, and I will say that we are going to get this computer situation straightened up soon enough. Let me switch to another camera real quick. Oh, there we go. Rest assured, this is probably the last live stream I'll be doing with this machine. So I'm not going to do a whole bunch of fancy movement with cameras over the course of this live stream as I've done in the past, because I want to make sure you get the goods. Then there's the Monk manual, and again, getting a bit of a lag here, unfortunately. So let's get into it. I know that again, I appreciate your patience with some of the technology that I've got going on here, but we've got a lot of great stuff scheduled for this live stream, and ultimately it boils down to, I don't think I have anything going on here that's too crazy in terms of stealing up space. So let's move. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna get going on this thing right away, and we're gonna go right into the six stuff that I want to talk about, how to make productivity fun. So this right here is one of the elements of my program. It's one of the sheets that you get, and it's called the Daily Driver. Okay, and I've put this inside of my iPad so that you can kind of see how I would fill it out digitally. So the idea behind this is simply to try to get as much done, to get the right things done over the course of the day. There's this great book by Bridget Schulte called Overwhelmed. And I'm getting really tired of this. All right, let's see if we can swap cameras. And all right, I'm going to move to this camera over here. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everybody. That's how you know we're doing it live. Okay, so I'm going to go with this camera. Maybe it's a camera issue. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so you should be able to see me. Yep, there's going to be a bit of lag, I think, but we'll make it work. All right, so to give you a sense of what I'm going to be talking about today, the idea behind this is to keep things simple, right? To keep things so that you are doing the right actions every day, whether it's tasks, whether it's habits, whether it's your daily routines, whether it, whatever it might be. That's the idea behind making productivity fun, because what can happen in a lot of cases is productivity can be overwhelming. Right? You can feel like you're never going to get everything done. And in Bridget Schulte's book, Overwhelmed, which I do recommend, this idea of overwhelm means we have a lot of things that are on the go on a regular basis. And productivity's gotten a bit of a rap that you need to get as much done as you can with the time that you have. And often the amount of tasks that we need to complete are far outweigh the amount of time that we have in a given day. And that goes for the week, the month, what have you. So ideally, what we want to be able to do is say, look, I know that I have a lot of things to do. no matter what you do for a living, I don't care whether you're a knowledge worker, whether you're a CEO, whether you're a stay-at-home parent, you have plenty on your plate. And most of those things are external forces that are coming your way. So whether it's through email, whether it's through just somebody stopping by your desk, Slack, what have you, whether it's things that have come to mind from other people that, whether it's household stuff, right? Like, my wife wanted me to put up the sunshade today because we're going through a heat wave here in BC. You will always have lots of things to do, and you'll never truly be done because, inertia is kind of not a thing for us. Like, I mean, the idea of doing nothing is hard. And the fact of the matter is that you're always going to have something to do. So why not make it the things that you really need and want to do, along with those things that you feel that you must do, the things that you are responsible for. So the idea behind making productivity fun again is to have some balance between the things that you need and want to do, which time crafting can help you with, and so can the 6, but not forsaking all of those external forces and factors that are coming your way. And vice versa. You don't want to forsake your stuff, which is often what happens, so that you can deal with all the external factors. And that's where the 6 comes in. So what you can see here right now is my daily driver. Now, this is a regular planning sheet that I've been using for a long time. And it basically, prior to this, if you've had this before, if you've downloaded this before, and this is only available to people who get the 6, it's got a circle in the center instead of a hexagon. And the hexagon to me is great for this because a hexagon is 6-sided. Plus, it's also a strong shape. So if I'm looking at this right now, and this is something that I want to get done during the course of the day, I only really have 6 options here, right? Like I have option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the 6 things that I might want to get done. And you can do things like divide it up. So you can go, I'm going to do this like this. I know somebody who's already enrolled in the 6 and I know is doing something like this. Pardon my poor drawing there. But what you can see here, and I wonder if I can do a picture-in-picture here. Let me see if I can do that with camera 2. And, oh no, we'll turn that on. Nope, we want camera 4 and then camera 2. No, camera 4. And let's turn picture-in-picture on. That's the first one. We don't want that. Well, we'll do it this way. We'll see if it sticks. Okay. So ultimately, what we want to be able to do here is take a look at, and I'm keeping my eye on this too, so keep that in mind, is with this daily driver is I have elements of time crafting up top here. Now, if you're not somebody that does this stuff, if you're like, look, Mike, I don't know what time crafting is. I just like the idea of making productivity fun again. I don't want to learn a new system. You can just go, you know what? I don't want to do this, so I'm not going to do the monthly theme. I don't have a daily theme, and I don't have a weekly sprint. Like, that's if you don't have those things. You don't need to necessarily do those, right? But if you do, then what you might want to do is say, okay, well, monthly theme for this month, I'm going to say is, let's say it's professionally, it's the podcast, and personally, it's finance, right? So you could just fill this out here like so. Now, if you have the regular daily driver, you could do this as well. Daily theme for today for me is maintenance, right? So that's what I mean by that is an overarching focus for the day. I do not have a weekly sprint going on right now, although we could say the 6 launch is part of that, so maybe we should do that. And I'm going to write that out in a different color. So we're going to call this the 6 launch. Okay? So then what I would be doing here, first thing is I would just start capturing all of my tasks right here associated with things, right? So I'd just be writing things out. For example, I will put down here, prepare for live stream. And then maybe here it's, well, I already said put up sunshade. And often I'm taking this from my digital tool. So keep this in mind. I'm not forsaking Todoist or ClickUp for this. I'm pulling things out of it. So that way I can, I can, kind of focus on this stuff, which means I'm not going to feel overwhelmed, right? I'm not looking at everything inside of Todoist or everything inside of ClickUp. I'm just looking at this sheet. And again, this is just one of the ways that you can do the 6. There's 6 ways, and I'll go over a few of these as we make our way through the live stream today. So put up sunshade is another one. I need to write email to subs about the 6. I need to, let's see, some of the other stuff. And again, if I was looking at Todoist, I could see right now, I could pull stuff from there. If I was looking at my monk manual even, I could pull stuff from there because I have weekly goals set aside in there. You could pull from wherever. I'm just going to brainstorm some more real quick because that's the other way you can do it. I need to, let's see. I need to update YNAB. You need a budget, which is what I use. I need to plan weekend. By the way, you'll notice that every single one of these starts with a verb, and that's important right out of the gate. Verbs make it easy. And then I'm going to put down here, and of course you're going to see some pencil stuff here. Let's see, what else? Well, the podcast, I need to finalize ads for 384 because that's the next episode. I can swipe that down, of course. Oh, come on, get that out of the way. Well, I can move it up, I guess. And then finally, let's give a couple other things that need to happen. And by the way, notice when I do this, I'm looking at my monthly themes and the 6th launch, and I can see what I need to do. So spend time in the 6 Facebook group. Okay. Write sales copy, and I'll pick one more thing real quick. I don't know. Plan meals for next week. And again, now notice none of these, they may not be maintenance or whatever. But so now I'm not, again, like I said before, if you know that you want to, if you know time crafting and you have modes for these, you could put them in here. So for example, if you have energy-based modes, like this would be a high energy one. This would be a low energy task. This would be a high energy task. This would be low. Planning the weekend might be a high energy task. Finalizing the ads is low. Spending time in the Facebook group is low. Writing sales copy is high, and planning wheels for next week is low. So I could just use mode-based work for there, or I could say these are going to take a few minutes. Preparing for the live stream took 30. Putting up the sunshade probably takes about 15 minutes. Writing emails to the subs, that's going to take 30. Update YNAB takes 5. Plan weekend, that'll probably take 15. Finalize ads, that's a 5-minute task. You'll notice, by the way, correlated energy and time are kind of correlated there. Spend time in the Facebook group, that's probably 5 minutes. Write sales copy, that's a 30. And then plan meals for next week, that'll probably take 15. Okay, I'm not going to worry about this other column. You'll learn more about this other column, which is the productivity ROI score when you sign up for the 6. Now what I can do is plain and simple, is I can start to earmark these tasks, the 6 that I want to do. So again, looking at my my monthly themes, the podcast should be one of them, right? So I'm going to make that number 6. So there we go. So I can just do that, and I can even put in here, I could put the task in here if I want. Ads for podcast, right? Number 1 is I definitely need to write the email. Let's see. Spending time in the Facebook group is number 2. Writing the sales copy is number 3, although it probably should be number 1. Putting up the sunshade, that's probably number 4. And preparing for a live stream, number 5. Now, notice I didn't put them in any particular order. Like, I think that's important to note. You don't need to put these in any particular order. You could, that's the one thing. When Ivy Lee talked about the Ivy Lee method, and I alluded to this in a previous email sent to people who were interested in purchasing the 6, or people who were not. But Ivy Lee met with Charles Schwab many, many years ago. Like we're talking like way back when. So again, it just goes to show human behavior hasn't changed all that much. And he said that if I give me 15 minutes with your top executives and it'll improve your efficiency in your sales. Your profitability will go up. Just give me 15 minutes. And then Charles Schwab asked how much it will cost. Ivy Lee said, pay me what you think it's worth when we're done the 3 months trial of this. So Ivy Lee spent 15 minutes with each of these executives, just one time, and gave them a very specific set of instructions, which was to write down the night before the 6 tasks that they wanted to accomplish the next day. And then do that every night for the next 3 months. And at the end of it, their profitability improved. They were more efficient, more effective. And Charles Schwab gave the Ivy Lee a check for between $25,000 and $35,000, something like that. Back in those days, that now would be worth about $420,000, I think. Last time I checked. So this is a take on that to a degree. This particular aspect of doing the 6 is a take on this, except you've got modes, you've got themes, so I've integrated time crafting into it. But if you get all 6 of these things done, so again, if you get all of these things done, as you do them, you can kind of shade them in. So I'm going to go, so I did do preparing for a live stream, so I can just either shade in just that area to complete it, or I can shade in the whole thing if I've done this. I've put up the sunshade as well. Now, I can also use different colors, and you might want to do this too for personal, right? So maybe blue is personal. All right, so I'm going to shade this in. I have not spent time in the 6 Facebook group yet. I have not written the email to subscribe. So I've got like 4 of them still to do, right? Before the end of the day. If I complete this whole thing, it's a productive day. Like I've done the 6 that I needed to do. And filling this thing in is fun. Like being able to actually fill this stuff in is pretty fun. Okay? So that's one of the ways to do the 6. Now, there are a few other ways that you can make productivity fun that doesn't just talk about like task management. So for example, let's say you want to track your habits, right? So here is a habit tracker that we built for the 6, okay? And we will again get this going. I'm going to use green for this. Okay? And here's what we got here. So with this, these are one of the worksheets that you get. So again, same principles apply. So let's say I'm going to make this a daily, like I want to work on 6 habits daily. I'm not going to do that. Let's say I'm going to work on this weekly. So I'm going to fill this in. Ooh. Let's mark that off. Fill that in, just shade it. You could exit whatever you want. And then you can write down what the habits are. So let's say I want to wash. Ooh. Oh, this is not working as well as it was before. We'll go with this. Oh, let's erase this. And we'll use this. Oh, and of course it's, so we'll go wash, face, or skin routine. Let's call it skincare. I'm going to do evening exam, which is like my evening routine. Okay. So I'm going to do evening exam. So these are the 6 that I actually would do, right? So this is like, these are habits. Do yoga would be maybe another one. What else do we have here? What are some of the other ones? Oh, prep. Well, here's another habit. Journal. Like here's a journaling habit. Might be one. Oh, daily walk. And finally, let's pick another one. I don't know. Another fun. Oh, play with sun. You know, and I know that sounds really weird. Like, why would you need to make that a habit? Like, why would you need to say, well, why is that? Because sometimes we lose sight of these things in a busy, busy world. Plus, playing with my son is fun. So now I can, again, number these any way I want. So I'll maybe number this number 1. I'm going to go back to the pen. Maybe this will be number 1. Oop. Number 1, Journaling might be number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So then I can, again, just put 1, 2. And again, you could do this however you want. And so every time I complete one, so I did play up. If I play with my son, I can shade that in, right? And then if I go for my daily walk, I can shade that in. And then if I do yoga, I can shade that in. Now remember, this is weekly, right? So I could say I only do this once per week, or you could say, so this might be only a weekly thing, right? And then by the end of it, hopefully you shade in the whole thing. And again, I'm kind of going through this pretty quickly. And then you've closed the hex. Now, you can also do this. So I colored these in, but let's say blue is my personal color, right? Ooh. So I can say this is a personal habit, right? Blue. And journaling is more, evening, like all of these seem to be personal, so I could color them accordingly, right? Based on that. That is another way to make this kind of thing fun, is just being able to track this stuff in a way that makes a lot of sense. All right? So again, the whole goal behind productivity isn't to get caught up in all those things that are coming your way and feeling like you have to sacrifice one thing or compromise one thing for the other. If you set aside either 6 habits, 2 routines maybe, and we're going to go over the routine builder here in a second. Maybe you want to work on a project, but you need to, you're just feeling that it's stagnating. Working on 6 things, and I've said this before, if 3 is a magic number, then 6 is a monumental number. It's a momentous number, right? The idea behind it is just to make sure your intentions get the attention they deserve. And yes, you could be getting a ton of emails in. I get a lot of emails every single day. I get a lot of outside external demands on my time daily as well. But I want to have these things in front of me, whether it's daily, weekly, whether it's a project, whether it's my monthly themes, which we'll get to here in a second here as I give you a bit of a tour. To me, that makes it fun. To know that you're working through things with the idea that you're going to get your stuff done, the right things done, that's what makes productivity fun. And you could do things like I have, and I'll jump over here because you can have things like a hexagon. Like I bought a bunch of these things. They look like board game pieces from Settlers from Catan. Good to see you, Josephine. I could fill these. You don't even need to use these sheets. Sometimes I could just grab this, throw it in a pocket. I could very easily write down the 6 on here and fill this out. Then once I've got a completed one, I could be on my way. So that's one way. I've got tons of hexagonal stuff here, but this is so imagine just having your 6 things on something like this, or again, with the analog card. I could just put 6 things down here. And I think we feel a lot of the pressure of, I've got to fill up this entire sheet. I've got to fill up this whole planner. I need to, get my, I have to make sure I get that, task management score from Todoist, the karma score, or I need to make sure I see a lot of things, or I need to get to inbox 0. Wouldn't it be great if if you could get this 6 done, you'd be at 0. Wouldn't that be great? I think that would be. Let's go to, here's Todoist. Here's what Todoist looks like for me. This is, if you're using Todoist, this is, you have this screen. Now this is on my iPad, but you still have this screen. I've changed my karma score, which is their productivity score. And it used to be, I think I had 10 tasks per day. So 60 tasks per week because I took Saturday and said, I'm not going to do this stuff, anything on Saturday. I'm not going to score it. Now what I've done is said, I'm going to do 6 things every day. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. And that's 42 tasks per week. If I can get those things done, then yes, I'm boosting my karma. Yes, I'm doing all that stuff done. But if I can look at it and say, oh, well, what's today? Today is, I have to, let's go back to here. And I didn't put this in a project yet. I can mark that off. Done, right? I could do that. I can also go into my inbox and see a bunch of other things that I need to do. I'm not going to share that with you right now. But the bottom line is you don't want to overwhelm yourself. And when you're dealing with external factors, whether it's your boss, your colleagues, your partner, your family, having your just six things, no matter how big or small, because small tasks can lead to big impacts. When you think about dropping a pebble in the water and the ripple effect that it has, right? And we'll get to that when we talk about the project progressor here, because that's where I think you're going to see some of this. Same thing with the weekly watch and the monthly manifest. But those small tasks can have a big impact. So your 6 don't have to be these big grand things. You saw one of mine. It was putting up a sunshade outside. Boom. One of my 6 is done, right? Habits, washing my face, or skincare routines, more of a skincare thing. Boom. One of my 6, right? And that's if I'm using the habit tracking method, right? One of those 6 sheets that we have. And there's others. Again, the project progressor, the routine builder, the weekly watch, the monthly manifest. And the thing about the 6 is because it's so simple and so flexible, durable, and sustainable, we can add new ways to do it. I have to tell you that one of the members of Time Crafting Trust, Joe, who was watching this live stream, might still be watching it right now. Hi, Nikki, who's watching live as well. He said, hey, Mike, maybe instead of having the habit tracker be for 6 habits, you maybe track 1 for 6 days, right? So that way, if you get 6 out of 7, you're batting, whatever that is, like 90% or 88% or whatever that is, right? So, or if it's the weekly one, maybe it's the same thing. Like, there's lots of ways that you can manipulate the 6. Nikki's in it, and Nikki's doing some interesting things with it as well. So I think that the simplicity factor and the fun factor, again, and I know it sounds weird to say it's fun, I think that that's something worth celebrating, because again, I'm not telling you when you're thinking about this. And by the way, if you don't want the 6, just take this idea and run with it on your own. Hey, I'm going to do 6 things every day, or I'm going to break my project down into 6 steps. All I'm providing you is not only the worksheets to do it, and there will be more coming, and video lessons and audio lessons, and the support of a private Facebook group, not to mention free updates going forward, because this is going to be one of the backbones of the work that I do, because I think this is if this is the how-to, time crafting is maybe the why-to, like this is why you want to operate this way, and here's some ways to do it. The actual process of doing it, the 6 will fit the bill, because again, I think it scales really, really well across multiple spheres. Let's go back to let's not go back there. Let's go back to we're going to go to the project progressor here. Okay, so you can see here. Okay, Josephine, I'll get to your question in just a second. So here's the project progressor. And what I like about this one is most people, when they write down tasks, they're actually projects. So you're saying to yourself, hey, guess what? I need to work on a book, right? I'm going to work on a book. I'm going to write book. Like, that's the task. That is not, that's not a task. That's a project. So what I would do is I would write down in here, actually, I don't even want to put the name of the project. So my next book. So let's say so this is how I would use this sheet. I would put the title of the project in here. Then what I would do is list all the steps, right? So write, 1,000 words. So this is if I want to do it every single day, right? Now you can use this project progressor for per week. So instead of saying that, maybe it's like, I want to write 1,000 words daily, right? So that would be the new way to do it, right? It's still, if you were doing this per week, that's how you would do it. Find, book cover artist, if you're going to do that, right? Get ISBN code, because believe it or not, those are things that you have to do for a book, right? Code. Break down chapter more. I don't know. I'll put that down. Let's say that's one, because that's a task, right? It might actually be a project. And then there's 3 more. So if I wanted to say, okay, this is the kind of tasks I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I'm not going to do that one. We're going to cross all these out. So let's do this. We're going to go, I want to write 1,000 words daily. This is like number 6. This is number 2. This is number 5. And let's say this is number 3 and number 4. And again, I would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You could also write the task in there as well. And then again, as you do it, so have I got an ISBN code? Yup. So I could fill that in. Did I find a book cover artist? Yes, I did. So again, let's say I did this. Let's say this is daily. Did I do those other 2 things? Yep, the 4 and 3. Let's say whatever they are, I did them. And then 2, break down the chapter more. Let's say I did that. I still have to write the words, though. I'm going to be like, I want to close that hexagon. I want to get that thing done. Yes, I'm getting a ton of other things sent to me all day, but I want to get 6 tasks done for this project. Boom, did the 1,000 words. Right? There. Now I can move on to the next day. That is one of the ways that you can use the project progressor. You could do it daily. Oh, and again, that lagging. You could do daily. You could do it weekly. However you want to do it. Now, I'm going to answer this question for Josephine. Josephine, are the 6 tasks, and I'm looking off to the side here, from different topics or projects, or 6 tasks for every project per day? I think I answered that question with a project progressor. So you could use the daily driver for just tasks. Like, it doesn't matter what project they belong to. And you can create a column for projects on the daily driver as well. So where it says action and mode, and I'll open that up again so you can get a chance to see it. Just give me 1 second here. But you could actually make it so it's like, okay, how do I, so let's go back to the daily driver, the 6th edition, and we'll cut back in here real quick. All right, so you could ostensibly, like, one of the things you could do is you could say, okay, I'm going to create a column here called project, right? And so then, like, preparing for the live stream is the YouTube project. Or better still, because technically it's not for YouTube, I'll call this the 6. And writing the emails to Son, that's also for the 6. And spending time, that's also for the 6. And writing sales copy, that's also for the 6. And the rest is not anything for those. Okay. And then the rest, this is home, like the home project, right? And then this is finance. And then this is home. I'm just using home as a project. I would never really have a home project. I'd probably call it household or something. This is the podcast. This is planning meals. That's home as well. So then what I can do, and the great thing about this is I can group them. So I'm like, oh, these need to be grouped. And because the 6 is my launch, you probably noticed that they actually made the cut. And then these ones would be grouped together, right? So the home ones could be grouped together. So now I made progress on multiple projects in one sheet. And then finance and podcast would have their own. To that end, that's how I would use it. So the daily driver is designed for multiple projects, right? So you could have whatever projects you want on there, right? You could make it just for a project if you want, but the project progressor is designed for you to say, okay, this is a project I want to work on. I'm going to break this project down into the smallest steps possible. Or as I say, break a project down into its smallest particle as possible. And then from there, what happens, and I know I got excited there, there you can actually break it down. And what's interesting about that whole scenario is you could use them in tandem. So the daily driver could be, these are tasks that fall outside of this main project. And maybe one of the 6 is to spend time on the project. So in my case, it would be, if the project is writing the book, I could put in the daily driver, here are the 6, here's all the tasks that I've pulled from ClickUp and from Todoist and out of my head. Oh, and I know the book project is a big important project for me, so I'm going to write down as one of my 6, spend time on the project progressor for the book. And then that becomes one of the 6 on the daily driver, which then creates a direct path to the project progressor sheet, which there I then start to break down that. right? Because I think the biggest problem is, well, I know it's the biggest problem is people will say, I need to work on this project, and they don't break the project down into its smallest particles. I was just talking to, and Nikki, I hope I'm not talking out of turn here, but I'm going to share it anyway, is I was saying, hey, you should use the Progressor because yes, I know you have a project management tool, but pulling things off of there, no matter what tool it is, and getting it in front of you and breaking it down to 6 tasks per day, per week, what have you, you're going to make incremental and measurable progress on these projects, and you won't have anything fall through the cracks. If you've read Atul Gawande's checklist manifesto, he talks about this stuff, right? The idea of like an airline pilot that has a checklist, a surgeon has a checklist. I think you should have a checklist for your projects, and the project progressor can act as such. Plus, it gives you the added benefit of having that mode category. So then you could say to yourself, hey, you know what? I want to, these are all low energy tasks. I want to do these ones. And that will work really well if you're not feeling well or if you're tired. But you could also say, hey, these are all tasks related to maintenance, and today's my maintenance day. Oh, I'm going to do all these maintenance tasks related to this project, and bang, 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 you start to make it through. But what's great about the 6 is that if I have 3 maintenance tasks, or let's say 4 maintenance tasks in that project progressor, and I get those done because today's my maintenance day, I only have 2 left to do to close that hex. So I'm probably, in all likelihood, going to make measurable. I'm going to try to get those done. I'm going to try to finish that. Because if I get those 6 done, I close the hex, I've done 6 things towards that project. I can count that, which is, again, there's a lot of thoughts around inbox 0. This idea of email. I got my email down to 0. It'd be great to go from your 6 to 0 in a day, whether it's tasks, habits, the elements of a routine, the projects that you're working on, or, and we'll get to this right now as I move along, and we're kind of sliding through this fairly quickly, but that's okay. You can go back and watch this. Let me go into my next one here. So we're going to let's go to the weekly watch. Okay. So this is if, let's say, you want to work on things on a weekly basis. I'm going to move this down to here because I don't need to put the instructions there. So the date would be, whatever today's date is. I'm going to put this in red. So today's date is, let's say, July 30th, because I really need to clean this Apple Pencil off. And it's the week of, well, let's say, now remember, I might be planning this for the next week. So the week of August 1st to 7th. Do I have a personal or professional monthly theme? If I do, and I know I do, I would mark those off. So I put yes and yes. And then what I would do is look at my calendar, because my calendar tells me what those are. Okay. And then again, very similar. I brainstorm the different tasks that I want to move forward every week. So let's say this is task A, task B, task C, task D, task E, task F, right? And by the way, if you could write this down on a completely separate sheet too and just use this as a curation sheet. And then the mode will just go high energy. We'll use energy ones because those are easy. We'll just say those are that. So then what I would do again is I would go, that's task 1, that's task 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, I would put these up here. All right. And again, I'm blazing through this a bit. You would only look at this once. At the end of the week, you'd go, did I do this? Yes, I did. Great. Did I do this one? Yes, I did. Great. Did I do this one? Yes, I did. Oh, I didn't do these 3. Darn. Then you could transfer them to the next week if you want. Or you could do this at the tail end of the week. Maybe you're going to look at it on August 7th and go, uh-oh, I need to still do this and this and this, and I'm going to make measured progress on it. That's how the weekly watch works. It's more of a weekly sheet, but you can use it in tandem with the other 5 ways that you can tackle the 6, at least the 5 ways at the very beginning of the 6 as we're making our way through it. Let's go to the final, one of the final sheets that we've got here, the monthly manifest. Very similar to the weekly, except this one is a bit different because what it would be for you to keep your eye on is the 6 monthly themes. So let's say I've got one is my podcast, right? So the podcast is a monthly theme, and so is the book. And so is, TC Trust, which is my membership site. That's a monthly theme. And let's say the 6 is a monthly theme. And let's say, the group cohort is a monthly theme, and let's say the Big Ready. Let's just use those as 6 of them to start. And then I'm going to go with my personal one. So let's go with finance, right? And let's go with travel. Let's go with gardening. Pat Flynn just recently started talking about gardening more. So what's another thing? I want to learn a language. So learn guitar or pick it back up. I've played guitar a bit. My daughter just bought a new guitar with my advice as to what one to buy. She bought a nice one, so I might want to get back into that. So here's 10 of them, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, well, let's say this is July, August, Sep, October, November. Oh, this is going to take us right to the end of the calendar year. And then to take a page out of Nikki's book, I'm just going to do this because Nikki was the one that did this with her sheets. I'm going to do that. So now what I can do is I can say, okay, well, this is the podcast we know is July, and so is this. So now what I would do is I would put July here. You could use numbers too if you want, though. So July. So then I know those are July. The book is August, and let's say learning guitar is August, right? So then what I would do is I could just put them in here. I might go like August, so we'll put book and guitar. And you would do this consistently. Maybe, well, I know the cohort is here, right? And I know the Big Ready is here. Well, the Big Ready is not even, I don't even need to make the Big Ready one yet. The 6 is already, I'll make the 6 maybe a bit more of a focus here again because we'll probably do another little bit of a launch. Travel, maybe we'll do travel in December because we'll be able to do a bit more of it. I don't know. And then maybe I don't have themes for this. Like I know the pod is here and I know finance. And maybe, what we'll do is we will not make travel the focus in December because we don't know if we're going to be doing that, but we'll make it a focus for October. So we'll plan travel. And then what I can do is say there's not going to be a theme in December, right? So now I can see what my monthly themes are and I can check back in and, in July, did I live up to my monthly theme? I sure did. So I can either shade in the whole thing or you could even divide it if you wanted and say, yep, podcast, I did it. Finance, not so much, right? So that's another way to do it, right? I'm not going to show you the routine builder right now because the routine builder is, it's a really great sheet that I like. But what it does is it allows you to track your morning and or evening routine. So you have 6 steps in your morning routine. You can check it off daily. You could fill that hex every single day and close out your morning routine if you have 6 steps to it. Same thing with an evening routine. If you have a midday routine, you could add that to the mix as well. But you might want to say, you know what, my morning routine has 4 steps, my evening routine has 2. You could combine them, so and if you look at that sheet, it kind of says something you want to do morning, evening, or bit of both. You could make it a bit of both. And on the sheet, it tells you whether or not you can do that. There are going to be lots of other ways to do the 6. This makes it fun for me. I don't know. I mean, the fact that I'm not feeling the pressure of not knowing if I'm going to get my stuff done, I think is key, right? That to me makes it fun because productivity seems to be all about getting things done as quickly as possible, getting as much done as possible, being efficient, really just plowing through things without really having much regard for the things that you need and want to do. The things that you need and want to do that others may have said, hey, this is part of your job. Please go do this. Oh, by the way, here are these other 14 things that we want you to do. Because they'll forget. I can tell you right now, no matter who it is, I don't care whether it's your boss, your colleagues, your wife, your husband, your partner, your kids, they don't track what you need to do as much as you do. And they're not thinking about that stuff. They're not sitting there going, well, I know that Mike has 43 things on his plate, so I'm not going to give him any more. They're not worried about that. Honestly, they're worried about what they need and want to do. But what happens is we get so much coming from other places because there's only one of you, but there's 5, 10, 15, 30, multiple people coming at you from outside. They're getting their stuff done is number one. It shows up because it's louder. And number 2, it's easier, right? Because often those things aren't the real meat. They're not the real impact stuff. I'm not saying all the time that's the case, but sometimes it's easier to do the things that they send you, like getting your email to zero or doing these quick things, than doing the deeper, more challenging stuff that you need and want to do. And that's where the 6 can help, because you can't equate the amount of tasks others send your way to the same amount of tasks that you have for yourself. It's not realistic, right? For very few people have the luxury, myself included. And I was watching a productivity video about like what, I can't remember her name. I feel so bad. I'll link to it. I'm sure I'll link to it. I'll put it, we'll link to it. But the thing that bothers her about productivity YouTubers is that it doesn't seem like it's, quote, real. And I'm paraphrasing here. The thing is that there's so much coming at us that we don't take a step back and slow down and go, okay, what are my intentions? How am I going to pay attention to it? And for the longest time, I didn't say, hey, I just said that. I left it as vague as that. What are your intentions? How are you going to pay attention to it? With the 6, what I'm saying is, what are your 6 intentions? Whether they're tasks, like a project with the 6 steps, and what are those? Here's how you pay attention to it. Okay? And then when you get 50 things coming at you from outside sources and you have 6 for yourself, you can go, okay, well, I can see my 6. So let me work on those over the course of a 24-hour or let's say 18 or 16-hour period. 6 things over a 16-hour period, that's a good chunk of time. And you may not get all 6 done every single day, week, whatever, but it's a place to start. The 6 gives you this attention space, which is what we need. We need not just time, but we need space. And I believe that, honestly, when you start to think about it this way, then you're going to remove the myth of, okay, I need to get as much done as possible in the course of a day. You're going to need to live up to your obligations and responsibilities that others send your way, but you also need to make sure you don't forsake yours in the process. And if you start to think about things in the way that our brains love to operate, we have logic and emotion, and reason is that nice balancing point in between. If you could say to yourself, okay, you know what? I only need to do these 6 things for myself. If I get those 6 things done, I'm productive. I'm going to do the other 23 things that have been sent my way, but these 6 need to get taken care of. If you do that, you're going to feel more productive. You're going to be more productive. And that's really what the 6 is all about. That's why I wanted to share this with you today. That's why I wanted to do this live stream. Despite the fact that my computer might freeze and cack up. Joe is asking a question. How do you differentiate what you do with the 6 versus the monk manual? Seems like potentially quite a bit of overlap. Totally agree. So the thing about the monk manual, which I like, is it forces me to think about things a bit more. Like there's a lot more context in there so that it helps me decide what the 6 should be in general. Right now, remember, I'm a productivity guy that has I'm testing multiple things out. I love to experiment. As much as I love the monk manual, I don't know that you're going to need it if you use the 6. I mean, I have my weekly work pads as well. I've stopped using that so I could use the monk manual. I think it's the thing is that if you use the monk manual and you employ the 6 strategy inside of it without using necessarily the 6 worksheets, I think you'll be fine. I think one of the things that can be a bit of a barrier for some people with the monk manual is the price. I think for some people, they might say, hey, that's a lot of money to spend. But I have to say, the stuff inside of it is gold. Like it's really, really helpful. So I pull things out of, if you are more of a digital person, like you're using digital tools, I don't think you need another paper planning tool other than what I'm providing in the 6. Or if you have a paper planning tool, you can take the process and apply it as such, right? So again, the analog cards would be a good example. If you are a paper planning person, you don't use a lot of digital, then you may not need to use, then the monk manual will have a lot of your stuff in it, but then the 6 further isolates it. So you have that attention point. So yes, when people say, I mean, I did a video about planning my week. People are like, that's a lot of steps. Like, why would you do all that? I do it, number one, to show people that I think about this stuff, and I'm trying to be, I don't want to forsake the apps that I use. because I think their apps are great for long-term incubation and long-term storage. I also think that apps allow me to communicate with my team members all over the place, right? But what the 6 does, and what the Monk Manual, and again, incorporating the Monk Manual, is the 6 into the Monk Manual is something that I've done, where I stop myself. Oh, here are 6 things, that's it. Same thing with analog. Here it is, I'm done. And these specialized worksheets are kind of like the things that I would pull in. I actually think what I want to do, and it's totally inside, I mean, it's not really inside baseball. It makes sense, is I'd like to make, something more portable. So you could just do it this way. On the back of the sheet, it tells you this, and then you've got this thing. You just have it. Obviously, people aren't going to walk around with necessarily with hexagons, but index cards could be a game plan. But yeah, I don't think anybody should do exactly what I do with the tools that I use. I'm just providing different tools so that people can say, hey, you know what, I like the Monk Manual and I like the daily driver element. I'm going to use those. Or I like using Todoist. I'm going to use Todoist plus the project progressor for the fact that I want to make sure I'm doing things right with my project or the projects I want to work on. I think that's what it boils down to. I think that's it. I think we're going to wrap things up because I've covered a lot. And as expected, my machine is not acting up. I have to wonder if it's probably the computer, but we'll be able to further isolate the problem because camera 2 seems to be doing okay. Once we get the new machine in here, I'll be able to further isolate. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun. I love this stuff. I love it. If you're interested in getting the 6 right now, as of this live stream, there are 2 days left to get it at $66, which normally it's $99. You get video lessons, audio lessons, written lessons, all the worksheets, access to the private Facebook group. If you buy it before August 1st, much like Ivy Lee did for Charles Schwab's executives, you will be able to book a 15-minute one-on-one coaching call with me to help you with the 6, whichever sheet you want to work off of, etc. But you have to purchase it and book your time by August 1st. You don't necessarily have to have the call happen before August 1st, but you need to have booked your time. So, and there's a booking link inside of the platform when you purchase it, so you'll be able to do that right away. It's actually the first step I think people should do. And you also get free lifetime updates. And the 6 is going to become a cornerstone product of, the work that I do. So I've got the Now Your Action plan. I've got 30 days of time crafting inside of Time Crafting Trust, which is my membership site. But the 6 is going to be like kind of the cornerstone program, I think, that we're going to be using. And if you're a member of Time Crafting Trust, or you want to be a member of Time Crafting Trust, you have access to the 6. It's included in your membership. So if you want to explore that, you can go to learn.productivityist.com/tctrust and learn about that. But again, the 6 goes up to $99 as of August 1st. At the end of the day, August 1st, it's at full price, $99, which is still a great deal for everything that you're going to get. That's it for this live stream. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch. If you have any comments, questions at all, and you weren't part of the live stream, please let me know in the comments. I had a lot of fun. You're going to see more of this hexagon stuff because I love flipping it like this. Now, you're going to see more, maybe not necessarily as overt about the 6 in the work that I do here on the YouTube channel going forward, but I'm really excited about the potential of this program, and I hope you are as well. So if anything, when you walk away from this video, say, hey, I'm going to try doing 6 of my things every day, or I'm going to try fostering 6 steps in a project every single day and see how that works for you. I hope this was a really helpful video for you. I know there was a lot going on. And again, if you want to be part of the 6, now is the time to get in. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch today. I'm going to switch over to this camera. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, remember to stop doing productive and start being productive. See you later.